The screen on my phone showed the number I never thought I would see again. 0. Not a small number, not almost empty, not pending, just 0. My son's bank account. The same account he had bragged about for years. The same money he used to control me was empty. And I was not in my house anymore. I was not in my town anymore. I was not even using my real name anymore. I was sitting on a hard plastic chair at a quiet bus station, holding one small bag, wearing a plain cap pulled low over my face. My hands were shaking, not because I was scared of what I had done, but because I still could not believe I had finally done it. I had vanished. No goodbye, no big speech, no shouting match, just silence, a full withdrawal, and a clean disappearance. Then my phone vibrated. A new message appeared on the screen. It was from my son. Only 3 words. Where are you? My heart jumped and my mouth went dry. Because at that same moment, I noticed something else. Across the station, near the entrance, a man in a dark jacket had stopped walking. He was looking straight at me, and he was holding his phone up, like he was comparing my face to a picture. I lowered my eyes quickly, but it was too late. He started walking toward me. Vast. Falu. Before I tell you what I did next, please comment where you're watching from and subscribe so more people can hear my story. My name is Daniel. I am a father. And for a long time, I believed fathers were supposed to carry everything, no matter how heavy it got. I believed a father should stay quiet, even when he is treated badly. I believed a father should accept shame, as long as his child succeeds. That is what my own father taught me. He was a strict man, but he worked hard. He did not talk much, but he never let us go hungry. When I was a boy, I watched him leave the house before the sun came up. I watched him come back when it was dark. His hands were always rough. His shoes were always dusty. He did not buy fancy things, but he paid school fees, fixed broken doors, and kept our family standing. So when I became a father, I tried to be the same. I worked in a small printing shop for many years. It was not a big job, but it was honest. I saved money little by little. I did not drink much. I did not chase women. I did not waste time. My wife, Maria, used to laugh and call me Mr. Careful. She said I treated money like an egg, like it could break if I held it too hard. But I was not careful because I loved money. I was careful because I loved my family. We had one son, Caleb. Caleb was bright. He learned fast. Teachers liked him. Neighbors praised him. Even strangers would say, "That boy will go far." And he did. Caleb got scholarships. He finished school. He got a good job in the city. Then he got another better job. Then another. He started wearing expensive watches. He bought a nice car. He posted pictures online, smiling beside tall buildings, holding coffee cups that looked too small for their price. People would tell me, "Your son is doing well, you must be proud." And I was proud. Very proud. But pride can hide problems, like a curtain hiding a crack in the wall. When Maria got sick, everything changed. It started with small things. She would cough in the night. She would say her chest felt tight. She got tired quickly. She stopped cooking some days. She started sitting down more often. At first, we thought it was just stress or age, but then one day she fainted while sweeping the floor. I rushed her to the clinic. The doctor looked serious. Tests were done. Words were spoken that I did not want to hear. She needed treatment. Real treatment. Expensive treatment. I tried to pay from my savings, but it was not enough. I sold my old motorcycle. I borrowed small money from a friend. I even sold some tools from the printing shop, but the bills kept coming. I did not want to disturb Caleb. Caleb always said he was busy. Caleb always said he had plans. Caleb always said he was building his future. So I carried the burden alone. Maria got better for a while, then worse again. One evening, after I returned from the clinic with new medicine, I found Maria sitting on the bed, staring at the wall. She looked thin, like the illness had eaten part of her. She held my hand and said, "Daniel, please call Caleb." I did not want to. She squeezed my hand and whispered, "I want to see him. I want to talk to him, even if he is busy." That night I called Caleb. He answered after the third ring, sounding annoyed. "What is it, Dad?" I told him about Maria. I told him the clinic bills were getting higher. I told him we needed help. There was silence. Then Caleb sighed loudly. "Dad, you people always have problems," he said. "I send money sometimes. You should manage it." I felt my face burn. "Caleb," I said softly, "your mother is sick. This is not about managing. We need help." Caleb made a sound like he was clicking his tongue. "Okay," he said. "I will send something later, but don't start disturbing me every time. I have responsibilities." Responsibilities. That word stayed in my mind for days. As if I was not the reason he had a life to build in the first place. As if my responsibilities ended when he started earning money. He sent a small amount later. It helped for a week, then the bills returned like rain that never stops. A month after that phone call, Maria died. She died quietly. No loud movie drama, no long speech. Just a slow fading away, like a candle that had burned too long. I held her hand when she took her last breath. My eyes were dry at first. I think shock stole my tears, but when they covered her face, I cried so hard my chest hurt. Caleb came for the burial. He arrived in a shining car. He wore dark glasses. He hugged me quickly and said, "Sorry for your loss, Dad. Sorry for your loss. Not sorry I wasn't there. Not forgive me. Not I should have done more." Just those empty words. He stayed 2 days and left. After Maria's death, my life became smaller. The house was too quiet, the kitchen smelled like nothing, the chairs felt colder, even the walls looked tired. I tried to keep working at the printing shop, but my body felt weak. Grief can make a strong man feel like paper. Then something else happened. The owner of the shop told me business was slow. He said he had to reduce staff. I was one of the people he let go. Just like that, I was jobless. I looked for other work, but nobody wanted an older man with sad eyes and slow steps. Money became tight again. So I called Caleb. When he picked up, he sounded busy, like he always did. "Dad, make it quick," he said. I told him I had lost my job. I told him I needed help, even if it was temporary. I told him I could not keep up with bills. Caleb laughed. Not a happy laugh. A hard laugh. "Dad," he said, "you are always asking for money. What have you done with your life? You had years." His words hit me like a slap. I swallowed. "I worked," I said. "I raised you. I took care of your mother." Caleb sighed again, like I was tiring him out. "Stop making it sound like you did me a favor," he said. "That's what parents are supposed to do." I stayed quiet. Then he said the words that would change everything. "Honestly, Dad, you are just wasting my money for nothing. You are useless." Useless. A word I had never called any man. A word my own father would never have said to me, even when he was angry. I felt something break inside me, but not in a loud way. It broke quietly, like a rope snapping in the dark. I did not shout. I did not insult him back. I simply said, "Okay." Caleb paused, like he expected a fight. "Okay," he repeated. "Yes," I said again. "Okay, take care." And I ended the call. That night, I sat on my bed and stared at the ceiling for a long time. I thought about Maria. I thought about how she begged me to call Caleb. I thought about how I tried to protect Caleb from worry, while Caleb treated worry like a dirty thing. I thought about all the times I skipped new clothes so Caleb could have books. All the times I walked in the rain because the bus money was saved for his school trip. All the times I swallowed my pride and said, "My son will take care of me someday." Then I remembered something Maria once told me, years before she got sick. She said, "Daniel, don't ever let anyone make you feel small, not even your own child." I did not listen then, but I was listening now. That same night, I opened an old wooden box under the bed. Inside were documents, papers I had not touched in a long time. Among them was a letter from the bank. Years ago, when Caleb got his first big job, he opened a new account. He told me he wanted me to be able to help him manage things if anything happened to him. He said it was just safety. He said it was trust. He had made me a co-signer. Not on everything, but on that one account. At the time, I felt honored. I felt included. I felt like my son still saw me as important. But now I understood something. Caleb did not do it because he respected me. He did it because he thought I would never use it. He thought I was too soft, too scared, too grateful for scraps. I held the bank letter in my hands and read it again and again. My name was there. Clear, legal, real. I could access the account. Not in a secret way. Not by stealing passwords. Not by tricking anyone. I had rights on that account. And suddenly, another memory rose up. 2 weeks earlier, Caleb had sent me a message. It was short. "Dad, I'm sending you my new card details so you can withdraw cash for me if needed. I'm traveling." He had even sent the PIN. He trusted me with the code. Or maybe he did not care enough to think. I stared at that message, then at the bank letter, then back at the message. My heartbeat was slow and heavy. This was not anger anymore. This was a decision. The next morning, I woke up early. I washed my face. I wore my plain clothes. I did not eat breakfast. I walked to the bank like an old man going to pay a bill. No drama, no running. Just steps. Inside the bank, the air was cold. A security man looked at me like I did not belong there. A young woman behind the counter did not smile. People in line were staring at their phones. Everyone looked busy, like they had places to go. I held my papers tightly and waited. When it was my turn, I spoke calmly. "I need to make a withdrawal," I said. The teller looked at the account details. She looked at me. She looked back at her screen. "Sir," she said, "this is a large amount." "Yes," I said. She hesitated. "Do you want to call the account owner?" "I am listed on the account," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I have the right to withdraw." She checked again. Then she nodded slowly. "Please wait," she said. A manager came out. He spoke politely, but his eyes were sharp. "Sir," he said, "can you confirm why you are withdrawing this amount?" I looked at him and said, "It is my money too." He studied me for a moment. Then he said, "All right, we will process it." When he walked away, my hands were cold. My mouth felt dry again, but my face stayed calm. I watched the teller type and print. I watched her stamp and sign. I watched the manager approve. And just like that, the money moved. I will not tell you the exact number, but it was enough to change my life. Enough to start over. Enough to disappear. When I left the bank, the sun looked brighter than it had in months. I did not feel happy. I felt awake. That afternoon, I went home and did something I had never done before. I packed a bag and did not tell anyone. I did not call any neighbor. I did not tell any friend. I did not even visit Maria's grave. I knew if I did, I might change my mind. And I could not afford a weak moment. I left the house keys on the table. I wrote one short note on a plain sheet of paper. You said I was useless, so I will stop being your problem. That was all. Then I walked out. I went to a bus station in the next town. I paid cash. I bought a ticket under a name I had not used since I was a young man. My mother's maiden name. It felt strange in my mouth, like a new mask. And that is how I found myself sitting on that hard plastic chair, staring at the number 0 on my phone, while my son's message popped up. Where are you? Then I looked up and saw the man in the dark jacket walking toward me, fast, with his phone raised like a weapon. My stomach tightened. I lowered my cap. I stood up slowly, trying not to look guilty. But the man kept coming. And when he was only a few steps away, he called out, loud enough for people nearby to hear. Sir. I froze. He called again, even louder. Sir, please wait. My heart started pounding like a drum. I turned to walk away, but he moved faster and stepped in front of me. He looked at his phone, then at my face, then back at his phone. Daniel, he asked. No, not my new name. My real name. How did he know? My body felt stiff, like my bones had turned to stone. He reached into his jacket. For one terrible second, my mind flashed with fear. Was this a policeman? Was this someone my son sent? Was this the bank? Was I about to be dragged back? The man pulled out something small and shiny. Not a weapon. A badge. He held it up. I need you to come with me, he said. And behind him, near the entrance, I saw 2 more men step inside the station. Both of them were looking around. Both of them were scanning faces. One of them looked directly at me, and his eyes narrowed, like he had finally found what he was searching for. My breath caught in my throat, because I suddenly understood one hard truth. I thought I had disappeared, but someone had been waiting for me to run. I need you to come with me, the man with the badge said again, louder this time. His voice was calm, but it carried the kind of power that makes people listen. My throat went dry. The 2 other men near the entrance stopped pretending to look around. Now they were watching me like hawks watching a small animal. I forced my legs to stay steady. I forced my face to stay normal. What is this about? I asked, keeping my voice low. The man with the badge leaned in closer. Not here, he said. Come outside. Outside. That word scared me more than the badge. Inside there were people. Inside there were cameras. Outside anything could happen. I looked around quickly. A woman was buying water. 2 teenagers were laughing at a video. A man was sleeping with his head on a bag. Nobody was looking at me long enough to help. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Caleb. Dad, answer me now. My hands tightened around the phone. I did not reply. The man reached for my elbow, not rough but firm. I pulled my arm back. Don't touch me, I said. His eyes narrowed. Sir, don't make this harder. Who are you? I asked. He lifted the badge closer to my face. It was real enough to make my stomach twist. It had a logo and a number, but I could not read it properly because my hands were shaking. You can ask questions, he said, just not here. One of the men at the entrance took a step forward. I noticed his hands were empty, but his shoulders were stiff, like he was ready to grab me. I made a quick decision. If these were real officers, running would make me look guilty. If they were not real officers, running might be my only chance. I chose a third option. I spoke loudly. Excuse me, I said, raising my voice just enough for people nearby to hear. What is this about? Why are you stopping me? A few heads turned. The woman with the water paused. The teenagers stopped laughing. The man with the badge looked annoyed for the first time. Sir, he said through his teeth, lower your voice. I raised it more. I don't know you, I said, and you are asking me to follow you outside. Why? Now more people were watching. Even the man sleeping lifted his head a little. The two men at the entrance froze. They did not move closer again. Good. That meant they did not want attention. The man with the badge took a slow breath, like he was counting to 10. Then he leaned in and whispered, your son filed a report. There is a problem with money. If you cooperate, this can be simple. My chest tightened. So Caleb had moved fast. He did not call to ask if I was safe. He did not call to say sorry. He went straight to reporting me. I swallowed my anger and kept my voice calm again. If my son filed a report, I said, then you can talk to me here, or you can show me paperwork. The man's jaw clenched. He looked around and saw the stairs. He knew he was losing control. He stepped back and spoke more politely. Sir, we can talk right there, he said, pointing to a quiet corner near a wall. I nodded, good. We walked a few steps. People kept watching. The man lowered his voice. Your name is Daniel, correct? I did not answer. He continued anyway. A large amount was withdrawn from an account you are linked to. The account owner claims he did not authorize it. I am linked to the account, I said, legally. He glanced at me. That may be true, but it's still under review. I felt a cold line of fear crawl up my back. Under review could mean anything. It could mean questions. It could mean being held. It could mean being forced back to the place I ran from. I said, if you are here because of a complaint, then you can take my statement here. I am not going outside. The man's eyes flicked to the two men near the entrance, then back to me. He leaned closer. Sir, listen carefully. If you do not come with us, it will look like you are running. I almost laughed. I was running. That was the whole point. But I did not laugh. Instead, I reached into my pocket and took out my old wallet. Inside it was my worn ID card, my real one. I held it out. You want to confirm my name there? He took it, checked it quickly, and handed it back. Then he said something that shocked me. Daniel, you're not the first father we've seen like this. My eyes narrowed. What does that mean? He hesitated, like he regretted speaking too much. But then he said it anyway. Old parents, adult children, money fights. Some children use money to control their parents. Some parents react. Sometimes it gets ugly. I stared at him. He was not talking like a man who cared about Caleb's feelings. He was talking like a man who had seen real things. For a second, I wondered if he might not be my enemy. Then his phone rang. He stepped away to answer. While he spoke, I looked at the two men near the entrance again. They were still watching me. One of them had his hand inside his jacket now. Not good. My heart started beating hard again. I needed to leave. Not later. Now. I looked around. 2 exits. The main door and a side door near a small office. The side door had fewer eyes on it. I did not sprint. I did not make it obvious. I simply turned like I was going to the restroom and walked steadily toward the side door. The man with the badge was still on the phone. He had turned his back for a moment. I pushed the side door. It opened. Cold air hit my face. I stepped out. And the moment my foot touched outside ground, I heard a shout behind me. Sir, stop. I did not stop. I walked faster than I ran. I heard footsteps behind me. I ran past a line of parked buses, past a man selling snacks, past a woman holding a baby. I did not look back. I saw a small street ahead with motorcycles waiting. Okada riders. I ran toward them. One rider stood up and frowned. Oga, wettin' happen. I pointed at the nearest bike. Take me anywhere, I said, breathing hard. I will pay. He hesitated. I pulled out cash and held it up. Now. Money changes decisions quickly. He grabbed the cash, nodded, and said, "Enter." I climbed on, my hands gripping the back. The rider kicked the bike to life and took off. Behind us, I heard another shout, but it faded as we moved into traffic. My chest burned, my throat was dry, but I was moving away. I was alive and free for another minute. After 10 minutes, the rider stopped near a crowded market area. "Olga, you go down here," he said. I got off, paid him more, and blended into the crowd. I walked between people selling clothes and food. I lowered my cap. I kept my face down. My phone buzzed again. A call. "Caleb." I almost did not answer. But something inside me said, "Answer it." Not because he deserves it, because you need information. I picked up. "Hello," I said. His voice exploded into my ear. "Where are you? What did you do? Do you know what you've done?" I stayed calm. "I stopped being your problem." "Stop talking nonsense," Caleb snapped. "You stole my money." "I did not steal," I said. "You put my name on the account." "That doesn't mean you can take it," he yelled. "You said I was useless," I replied. "You said I was wasting your money, so I removed myself from your life. That is what you wanted." Caleb's breathing was hard on the phone, like he was walking fast. "You're finished," he said. "I reported it. They are looking for you." "I know," I said. "I just met them." There was a pause. "What?" he asked, suddenly quieter. "I met them at the bus station," I said. "They asked me to come with them." Caleb's voice became sharp again. "Good, so you will return the money." "No," I said. Caleb laughed, but it was a cruel laugh. "Then you will go to prison." I took a slow breath. "If you truly believe that, then you never knew me at all." Caleb went silent for a second. Then he said, "You think you're smart now. You think you can just vanish. Dad, you can't survive without me." That was the part that showed his heart. Not worry. Not regret. Control. I said, "You will be surprised." Caleb hissed, "Where is the money?" I did not answer. He shouted, "Where is it?" I said, "You should ask yourself why your own father would rather disappear than stay near you." Then I ended the call. My hands were shaking again, but my mind was clearer. Caleb was not looking for me because he missed me. Caleb was looking for me because he wanted his control back. And I understood something important, something I wish every young person could understand. When you treat people like they are nothing, one day you might wake up and discover they have become dangerous to your comfort. I walked deeper into the market and found a small place selling used phones. I bought a cheap one, paid cash, and transferred my SIM card to a new number. Then I broke the old SIM in half and dropped it into a dirty bin. I did not feel proud, I felt necessary. Because if I did not cut Caleb off, he would never stop pulling me back. By evening, I found a small room to rent behind a shop. It was not clean, but it was quiet. It had a door that locked. It had a small window that looked at a wall. It was enough. I sat on the thin mattress and stared at the ceiling. My thoughts came like waves. Maria's face. Caleb's voice saying, "Useless." The badge. The men watching me. I realized this was no longer a simple family fight. This was now a chase. And I was the old man being hunted. That night I did not sleep well. Every small sound made me sit up. I kept my bag close. In the morning, I went out early before the market became busy. I needed a plan. I needed a place where nobody knew me. I needed to become invisible. I walked to a small cafe and bought tea. I sat in the corner, listening to people talk. That is when I heard the first important thing. Two men at a nearby table were talking about a job at a warehouse. They said workers were needed. They said it was simple work. They said cash could be paid daily. Cash. Daily. That was good. A man who is paid daily can move quickly. A man who moves quickly is harder to catch. I waited until they left, then I followed them at a distance. Not too close, not too far. They entered a compound with trucks. I stood outside and watched. Workers were moving boxes. A supervisor was shouting directions. I walked in slowly and asked for work. The supervisor looked at me from head to toe. "You're old," he said. "I can carry," I replied. "I can sweep, I can arrange, I can do anything." He stared at me like he was deciding if I was worth the trouble. Then he pointed. "Start there. If you're lazy, leave." I nodded and started. The work was hard. My back complained, my arms burned, but I kept going. Pain was easier than shame. At midday, the supervisor tossed me some money. "Come back tomorrow," he said. I thanked him and left. For the first time since Maria died, I felt something close to dignity. Not because I had money. Because I was not begging. That evening I bought food. I ate slowly. I watched the street from my small window. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. Across the road, a car stopped. A clean car, not like the local taxis. Two men stepped out. They were not wearing uniforms. But I recognized one of them. One of the men from the station. The one who had his hand inside his jacket. He looked left and right, scanning faces. Then the other man opened his phone and showed him something, maybe a picture. They started walking toward my side of the street. My heart started pounding again. I turned off my room light quickly. I stepped back from the window. I held my breath. The footsteps came closer. Then I heard a knock on a door nearby. Not my door. A neighbor's door. A woman answered. I could not hear the words clearly, but I heard my name. "Daniel." The woman replied, confused. "I know no AM." The men asked again, like they did not believe her. I pressed my hand over my mouth. They were here. Not at the bank. Not at the bus station. Here. Near my hiding place. That meant Caleb was not just waiting for police work. Caleb was paying people. Or pushing people. Or using influence. I reached for my bag. I packed fast. Not neat. Vast. I pulled on my cap. I opened my door slowly and stepped out quietly into the back passage. As I moved, my foot hit something and it fell with a small sound. A bottle. It rolled. The sound was not loud, but in a quiet place it was enough. I froze. Then I heard a voice from the front. "Who is there?" My blood turned cold. I ran. Not toward the street. Toward the back fence. I climbed over, scraping my hand. I landed hard on the other side. I did not stop. I ran through a narrow path between buildings, my bag bouncing on my shoulder, my breath loud in my ears. Behind me, I heard running footsteps. Then a shout. "Stop, Daniel." They had seen me. I turned a corner and almost crashed into someone. A young boy with a bicycle. His eyes widened. I grabbed the bicycle handle without thinking. "Please," I said, breathless, "help me." The boy looked scared. I pressed cash into his hand. "Take this, just help me." He hesitated, then pointed. "That way, small road." I pushed the bicycle toward the small road and ran beside it. The boy followed, confused but moving. We reached a corner where the road split. The boy pointed again. "Go, go." I ran into the smaller road. I heard footsteps behind me, closer now. I looked ahead and saw a gate open into a compound. I rushed in and closed it behind me. The compound was quiet. It had trees and laundry hanging. An old woman stepped out, startled. Before I could speak, the gate shook. Someone outside grabbed it. A loud voice shouted, "Open this gate." The old woman looked at me, terrified. I put a finger to my lips. Then the gate shook again, harder. And the voice shouted my name one more time. "Daniel, we know you're in there." My heart hammered in my chest as the gate began to creak, like it might break. And I realized with cold certainty that this time they were not here to talk. The gate shook again, harder than before. "Daniel, open this gate now." The old woman's hands were trembling. She looked at me like I was trouble that had walked into her life without warning. "Who are these people?" she whispered. "I will explain later," I whispered back. "Please, just give me 1 minute." The gate rattled again. Someone kicked it this time. The woman swallowed hard, then pointed toward the back of the compound. "There is a small storeroom," she said. "Go, hide." I did not argue. I ran. The storeroom was dark and smelled like old wood and dust. I squeezed myself behind stacked baskets and pulled a torn sack over part of my body. My chest was rising and falling too fast. I pressed my hand against my mouth to quiet my breathing. Outside, I heard the gate finally open. Heavy footsteps entered the compound. A man's voice spoke sharply. "Madam, we are looking for someone, an old man. Did you see him?" The woman replied, her voice shaking but firm. "I have not seen anybody. I am alone here." "That's a lie," another voice said. "We saw him run in here." They walked around. I could hear their shoes on the ground. One of them kicked something over. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. Then footsteps came closer. Closer to the storeroom. I held my breath. The door creaked open. Light spilled in. A shadow filled the doorway. "Check inside," a voice said. The shadow stepped in. I could see his shoes now. Clean, expensive, not police shoes. This was not official anymore. This was personal. The man bent down and pushed one of the baskets aside. I did not think. I reacted. I shoved the basket hard into his legs and ran past him. He shouted in surprise and fell backward. I burst out of the storeroom and sprinted across the compound. "He's here," someone yelled. I jumped over a low fence at the back and landed painfully on my knee, but I kept running. I ran into another street, then another. I did not know where I was going. I only knew I could not stop. I heard shouts behind me, then footsteps, then a car engine starting. A car. They had a car. I was on foot. Panic rose like fire in my chest. I turned into a narrow alley, then another, then another. I knocked over trash bins. I slipped once but caught myself. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. Then I saw it. A small church at the end of the alley. The door was open. I ran inside. The place was quiet and cool. Wooden benches, a simple altar, candles. I ran to the back and dropped behind the last row of seats. Seconds later, the door burst open. 2 men entered, breathing hard. They scanned the room. One of them whispered, "Check everywhere." They walked slowly, their shoes tapping on the floor. My whole body was shaking now. I pressed my back against the bench and closed my eyes. Then I heard another sound. A calm, steady voice. "This is a place of prayer," the voice said. "What are you looking for?" An old priest stepped forward from a side room. He looked small but strong. "We are looking for a man," one of the men said. "He ran in here." The priest looked at them calmly. "Many people pass this church. Who are you?" The men hesitated. That pause saved me. "You cannot search here without permission," the priest continued. "If you have business with someone, wait outside." The men looked angry, but they also looked unsure. After a tense moment, one of them spat on the floor. "Fine," he said, "but he cannot disappear forever." They turned and left. The door closed. Silence. I stayed hidden for a long time, even after the priest sat down to pray. When I finally stood up, my legs felt weak. The priest turned and looked at me. "I know you are there," he said gently. I stepped forward slowly. He studied my face. "You look like a man who has been carrying pain for too long." I nodded. He did not ask questions. He did not judge. He simply said, "You are safe here for now." Those words almost broke me. I sat down and told him everything. About Maria. About Caleb. About the money. About the chase. The priest listened quietly. When I finished, he said something that stayed with me. "Respect is not something children give only when they need you," he said. "It is something they owe because you are human." I stayed at the church that night. The next morning, the priest helped me contact someone. An old friend of his, a man who lived far away near the coast, a quiet place, small work, few questions. "This place will hide you," the priest said, "but you must decide who you want to become there." I left before sunrise. I traveled long hours. When I arrived, the air smelled like salt and fish. The town was small. People minded their business. I rented a tiny room. I found work repairing nets and cleaning boats. The work was hard but honest. Days passed. Then weeks. For the first time in years, nobody shouted at me. Nobody called me useless. Nobody demanded anything. I was just Daniel again. Or so I thought. One evening after work, a young boy ran up to me. "Sir," he said, "someone is asking for you." My stomach tightened. "Who?" I asked. He pointed toward the road. A familiar car was parked there, and standing beside it was Caleb, my son, looking straight at me. And this time he was smiling. Caleb's smile did not reach his eyes. It was the kind of smile people wear when they think they have already won. My legs felt heavy, like the ground was holding me in place. For a moment I considered turning around and running, but I knew it would not help. He had found me. Running again would only make things worse. So I stood still. Caleb walked toward me slowly, clapping his hands once as if he was impressed. "Well, well," he said, "you really thought you could disappear." People nearby glanced at us, curious. Fishermen fixing nets, a woman carrying a basket, a child chasing a dog. Nobody knew this was a father and son facing each other after everything had broken. I looked at him carefully. He looked healthy, clean clothes, shiny shoes. His hair was neat. He did not look like a man worried about his missing father. He looked like a man who had been chasing money. "How did you find me?" I asked. Caleb laughed softly. "Dad, you're old. You forget how the world works. Money talks." That answer told me everything. "So you paid people," I said. He shrugged, asked favors, made calls. "You don't think I just sit and wait, do you?" I felt a small pain in my chest, not sharp, just deep. "You never came to ask if I was okay," I said. Caleb waved his hand like I was wasting his time. "Don't start that. Let's talk business." "Business?" That word again. He stepped closer. "Give me back my money." I shook my head slowly. "No." His smile faded a little. "Dad, don't be difficult." "You were difficult," I said calmly, "when you called me useless." His jaw tightened. "I was angry," he said. "You pushed me." I looked at him, really looked at him. "Your mother was dying," I said. "I pushed you to care." He looked away for a second, just a second. Then his face hardened again. "This is not about feelings. This is about what you took." People were starting to stare more openly now. I could feel eyes on us. "I didn't steal," I said. "I used what you trusted me with." Caleb leaned closer, his voice low and sharp. "You embarrassed me. You made me look stupid. Do you know how that feels?" I almost laughed. You told me I was nothing, I said. Do you know how that feels? For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Caleb straightened and changed his tone. It became softer, dangerous. Okay, he said. Let's do this calmly. You come with me. We go to the bank. You return the money. We forget this happened. And then what? I asked. He frowned. What do you mean? Then I go back to being useless, I said. Back to begging, back to silence. Caleb sighed loudly. Dad, you're tired, you're confused. Let me handle things. That was it. That was the moment I saw him clearly. Not as my son. As a man who wanted control. I am not confused, I said. I am awake. Caleb's eyes flashed with anger. Don't make me do this the hard way. I noticed then that the car door behind him was open. And inside the car, I saw someone sitting. Not one person. Two. The same men from before. The ones who chased me. My heart sank. This is your hard way, I asked. Caleb followed my gaze and smiled again. They're just here to help. Help who? I asked. He did not answer. Instead, he reached out and grabbed my arm. That touch sent a cold shock through me. Let go, I said. Get in the car, he whispered. I pulled my arm free. No. His face changed completely then. The calm mask dropped. You think you're strong now, he hissed. You think you can teach me a lesson. I'm not teaching you, I said. Life will. One of the men stepped out of the car. Problem? He asked Caleb. Caleb did not look away from me. He's being stubborn. The man cracked his knuckles. People nearby started murmuring. Someone said, leave the old man alone. Caleb snapped his head toward them. This is family business. I raised my voice. If this is family, why does it feel like a crime? That made a few people step closer. Caleb cursed under his breath. He leaned in and spoke quietly, but his words were poison. Last chance. Get in the car or I will make sure you regret today. I looked at my son. The boy I once carried on my shoulders. The boy whose school shoes I fixed with glue. The boy I stayed awake for when he had fever. I already regretted raising you this way, I said softly, but I will not regret standing up now. Caleb's hand shook. Then he nodded once slowly. Fine, he said, do it your way. He stepped back and snapped his fingers. The men moved forward. At that exact moment, a loud voice shouted from behind us. Hey! Everyone turned. It was the warehouse supervisor from the docks, the man who gave me daily work. He was standing with two other workers. What's going on here? He asked. Nothing, Caleb said quickly, just talking. The supervisor looked at me. Sir, you okay? I opened my mouth to answer, but one of the men grabbed my arm hard. Pain shot through me. Before I could react, another hand grabbed my other arm. People shouted. Someone screamed. The supervisor ran forward. Leave him, he yelled. Caleb shouted back, mind your business. The men started dragging me toward the car. My feet scraped the ground. My cap fell off. I heard someone shout, this is kidnapping. The crowd exploded into noise. Someone hit one of the men with a stick. Another person grabbed Caleb's shirt. Everything happened at once. In the chaos, a loud crack echoed through the air. For a split second, everything went silent. Then I felt a burning pain in my side. I looked down and saw blood spreading through my shirt. My legs gave way. I fell to the ground. As my vision blurred, the last thing I saw was Caleb's face. Not shocked. Not scared. Just cold. And then everything went dark. I woke up to a soft beeping sound. At first I thought I was dreaming. My body felt heavy like it did not belong to me anymore. My mouth was dry. My side burned with a deep, dull pain. I opened my eyes slowly. White ceiling. White walls. A hospital. I tried to move, but my body said no. A nurse noticed my eyes were open and rushed over. "Sir," she said gently, "please don't move." "Where am I?" I whispered. "You're safe," she replied. "You were brought in last night. You lost a lot of blood." Memories rushed back like a storm. Caleb. The car. The men. The pain. I closed my eyes for a moment. "Is my son here?" I asked quietly. The nurse's face changed, just a little. "No," she said, "but the police are." That word settled heavily in my chest. Police. Not hired men. Not threats. Real consequences. A doctor came in later and explained everything in simple words. I had been stabbed during a fight. The wound missed my heart by a small distance, very small. "If you had arrived 10 minutes later," he said, "you might not be here." I nodded slowly. For the first time, I understood how close I had come to the end. That afternoon, a police officer came to my bed. He spoke calmly. He asked questions. I answered honestly. I told him everything. About the account. About the words my son used. About the chase. About the men. About the car. I did not exaggerate. I did not cry. I just told the truth. When I finished, the officer closed his notebook and looked at me for a long moment. "Sir," he said, "your son crossed a serious line." I looked away. "He crossed it long before yesterday." The officer nodded. "The men involved have been arrested. One of them confessed. Your son hired them to force you to return the money." Force. Not ask. Not talk. Force. "And my son?" I asked. The officer hesitated. "He is in custody. He will answer questions." I felt something strange then. Not happiness. Not revenge. Relief. A deep, quiet relief. Because the chasing was over. Days passed. I healed slowly. People from the docks came to visit me, the supervisor, some workers. Even the old priest traveled far to see me. "You did the right thing," the priest said quietly. "Not by taking the money, but by choosing your dignity." I thought about that a lot. One morning, a social worker came to speak with me. She talked about my safety, about starting over properly, about protection. She asked me a question that stayed in my mind. "What do you want now?" I had never been asked that before. Not by Maria. Not by Caleb. Not by life. I thought for a long time. "I want peace," I said, "and I want to live without fear." Arrangements were made. The money was reviewed by the court. Some of it was returned. Some of it was kept aside for my care and settlement because I was legally connected to the account and because of what had happened. I did not fight for more. I had learned something important. Money can save you, but it cannot heal everything. Before I was discharged, I received a message. Not a call. A message. From Caleb. It was short. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because some words come too late. I moved to a small town after that, a quiet place. I rented a modest room. I found light work. I walked every morning. I spoke to neighbors. I smiled again. I visited Maria's grave for the first time since everything happened. I stood there and told her the truth. "I survived," I said, "and I chose myself." Sometimes I think about Caleb. Not with anger. With sadness. Because a child who forgets respect loses more than money. He loses people. And a father who finally stands up, even late, teaches a lesson no words can fix. This is what I learned. Never use money to break the people who raised you. And never stay where you are called useless. Because the day you walk away might be the day you finally live.